think this division is getting disrespected a little bit. I mean, on the last podcast, I think Raj and Chris said that the winner of this division could finish under 500. I think that's ridiculous. I mean, maybe you agree with Nick, but I don't know. I don't know. Like, who's your favorite in this division? Because for me, I can honestly go back and forth with about 3 teams in this division and talk myself into it. Do you guys kind of, I don't know if you've made your predictions yet. Who are you kind of looking at that could maybe win the Central this year?
I mean, I think that just in general that you kind of have to give Cleveland their props, because it doesn't really matter who's on their roster or what additions or subtractions that they make, that they always find a way to get 85 to 90 wins just based on how they are as an organization, that they always develop some pitching and pull guys out of nowhere that are successful. So, I mean, I think I would put Cleveland just as the favorite right now. I'm really curious to see how Stephen Kwan kind of does in a second season, kind of seeing how he sustains, but their rotation is going to be probably too much to match with Bieber and Cal Quantrill and Cade Cavalli, or not Cade Cavalli, Adam Savali, I should say. Yeah. Hoping for him on a little bit of a bounce back. But then they got that kid Gavin Williams. They got Cody Morris coming up.
McKenzie.
Chris McKenzie, he's been established. So their pitching, I think, overall is going to take them over the top. I also think the Twins are going to be a lot better this year. They were kind of a disappointment last year, but their lineup is looking pretty jam-packed. They're obviously bringing back Correa and things. I really think the White Sox are going to be fading just because they have a good lineup, but I'm really kind of curious how they're going to uphold through a whole season. I don't think that they have the depth to really sustain and hang in contention, but I don't know. I'm curious what you guys are thinking with that top 3.
Well, with the Twins, you think back to that miracle year they had about 2-3 years ago, where every ball they put in play left the park. I mean, they had just that absurd home run to fly ball percentage. They looked like they had, cracked the code of how to hit home runs. That kind of went away a little bit. But they do have power. There's still some guys there. All those guys who hit home runs are still around. A lot of it, of course, goes to Byron Buxton. Are they going to get 40-game Byron Buxton, or are they going to get 125-game Byron Buxton? If they get 120, 125 games out of them, that's a big difference to what they do. I don't know about their bullpen. I mean, they got Duran, obviously. The guy's great. But, beyond that, although we know bullpen guys can come out of nowhere. I think the Twins might surprise people a little bit, only because people talk about the Guardians a lot more. They brought in Josh Bell. They have the nice rotation. Still got Jose Ramirez. That's a good ball club. I think one of those teams are going to finish above 500, John. I don't think the other guys are going to get that one right. There'll probably be a couple teams over 500, even if one of them is just barely. I think there'll be at least 2. The White Sox, the depth issues. They have some really nice starting pitching. Lance Lynn is always going to give you a Lance Lynn effort. Giolito had one bad year a couple years ago, but mostly he's a decent pitcher. Kopech, we'll see, all the talent in the world. And, of course, Dylan Cease came out like a storm last year. If he's the same guy, he's a great pitcher. But something about that lineup, shockingly to me, has never really clicked. And I don't know if that was, people want to blame Tony La Russa. I don't know, maybe. But the proof will be in the pudding this year. They have some guys. I thought Lewis Robert was going to be a big star. He's good, but he's not a star yet. Eloy Jimenez hurt a lot. Moncada struggled when Ben hurt. All those are guys who were supposed to be the big pieces of the puzzle to a juggernaut there, and it just hasn't quite come together.
Yeah, I feel the same way about the White Sox. I just worry about that offense because at the end of the day, you lost your best hitter, you lost your leader, you lost your MVP in Jose Abreu, and you replaced him with Benintendi, and Benintendi's a fine player, but I don't know. They're in a similar position to the Tigers, I feel like, offensively, where they're just looking at these young players like a Robert, like an Eloy Jimenez, like an Andrew Vaughn, who I do like Andrew Vaughn. I think he's a good hitter, but they're just hoping that these guys can kind of carry the mantle and lift this offense up now that Abreu's gone. And I don't know, and it's the depth problems that they have as well. The rotation, like Johnny Cueto was one of their best pitchers last year. They signed Clevenger, but we don't really know what's going on with that situation. And yeah, there's just so much. I could see it. I could see them finishing last. Honestly, I could see them finishing first. If things go bad and injuries hit, then maybe at the trade deadline, they're looking at another rebuild. So they're just so volatile to me. And the Twins were in first place for the majority of last year, and they just kind of scuffled towards the end. I think Pablo Lopez is a good pickup, but he also struggled a bit in the second half in a pitcher's park in Miami. I mean, Minnesota is not exactly a hitter's park, I'd say, but I think he could be a decent pickup for them as well. I just worry about the Twins and their injuries, because at the end of the day, if Correa and Buxton aren't healthy, I don't know if I can trust that team to win at least 85 games it's probably going to take to win the division. So I don't know. I think you probably got to go to the Guardians, but I'm worried about them too, honestly, because I think you look at guys like Josh Naylor, who maybe played a bit over his head. Andres Gimenez was an all-star last year. Could he come back down to earth a little bit? And I like Josh Bell, but he's just been so inconsistent. We've seen it with the Pirates. He's been an MVP candidate. And then, the next month, he looks like he doesn't even belong in the big leagues. Like, this division, I don't really trust anyone. I trust the Guardians the most, but that offense is just not good last year. And I worry that some of the guys that played over their head, like even an Oscar Gonzalez, if they just kind of come back down to earth, like, I don't know, is it going to be an 85 wins is all it's going to take to win this division?